We're all grad students here, except for Noble, who's an undergrad. And we're here pretty much to tell you how's life here as grad students, like what you should expect. And the way we usually do it, it's kind of like the same thing. We have a student from each year, first year, second year, third year, fourth, and fifth. If you're a sixth year student here, you don't get to talk, you just need to get out of here as soon as possible. And we're gonna start by that. So we'll let our first year student talk first, tell you a little bit what's going on. You need to come here because no one can see you there. Few words tell you what's going on, second, third, and then you can ask questions. I didn't get any questions from people out there in the camera, so if there's more time, I'll ask questions myself, question that I'm used to. All right, have our first year talk.
I don't know what to talk about already.
Just say, everyone, like every student, grad student should just say in few words, really short, what is usually going on their year. So what are you doing as a first year student?
Okay.
And what does she expect in their first year, and then second year, third year, and
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I came here around 6 months ago. Yeah, it's my first year, and you know, it depends on your advisor. If you have a master degree, you can waive your courses and just focus on your research. And otherwise, you should actually take the courses. I already have master degree, but I chose not to waive my courses because through them, you're actually gonna learn lots of things, do some projects. It's gonna be on your resume. It actually gives you really good ideas about what you're gonna do. So maybe in first year there would be not that much time for research, but you can kind of manage it. So and I was here for 2 quarters, and each quarter I had 2 courses. And I tried to do my research too, but but remember, if you take machine learning, you wouldn't have time for research. Yeah, that's very important. So this quarter I had machine learning, so I did nothing that much research. It's really important. So yeah, that's it. And first, actually, my past was I was in computer engineering, kind of electrical one. But now I'm computer science, kind of software one. So it's gonna be really big gap for me. And first I didn't have that much kind of research direction. But around 3 weeks ago, I came up with an idea to work on. It's about actually, as you know, these days there are lots of multi-core systems, and the parallelism degree in them is really high. But unfortunately, we don't have that much parallel application to make it satisfied and make good utilization of it, memory, CPU, these things. And also, as you know, in social networks like Facebook or in big data or big data centers, they're all actually occurring based on some graph algorithms. So I'm gonna work on parallel computing and parallel programming in graph algorithms and make them much more parallel on multi-core systems or in distributed systems. So it was my direction I chose around 20 days ago, and I haven't started work on that yet because of machine learning. But actually, yeah. But it was a good one because it was new to me, this research area, and it made me to go around lots, to go to different papers, different things, learn things, and go to different talks to see what's important these days. So I kind of actually combined what I already knew and the thing that they're hot and the thing that they're interesting, all of them in this topic that I came up with. And about living here, I live on campus village. It's good enough, but actually the other place is better. Where I'm supposed to go for them first, yeah. And actually, you can manage your time to do research, to work on your courses, to do exercising. This part is really important to me, for example. And do have fun on weekends. Yeah, you can actually manage all of them if you use your time really in a really good way. So the weather is great, and yeah, I'm from Iran, and there are lots of Persian people here, so I don't have trouble with that. What else?
No, that's it. Questions later if you have any.
Okay, so.
So now our second year.
Hi everyone, I'm Eric. I'm in second year. I do kind of machine learning, natural language processing, Bayesian statistics type stuff. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, but came here last year. I did have a master's degree, so I did waive my courses as opposed to the first speaker. But I still took a bunch of courses, maybe 1 or 2 every quarter. And I recommend that even if you have a master's degree, to do that just so you get to know professors and maybe see other areas you might not have seen before, as the first speaker said. Okay, yeah. I'll look forward to your questions.
So my name is Moshe. I'm a third year. Also, I'm doing machine learning for research, so it takes all of my time, but at least for me, it's justified. I came here. I'm also an international student. I moved here 2.5 years ago, pretty much whenever I started. First 2 years, I did a lot of classes, and when you're in your third year, you pretty much should be done with classes, so it's kind of interesting, and then you start doing full-on research. That's all you do. You can still go to classes. What Eric said is right. You want to meet professors because you'll need them later for recommendation letters and things like that. Maybe they can be co-authors with you on papers. But third year, you should start focus solely on research. In terms of social life, you're all pretty much local, but for the people out there, social life in Irvine are cool. I mean, I'm going to lie to you and say that they're really cool.
Hi, my name is Ely. You can tell from my name that I'm the real international student. He's not. He's domestic. And so I'm probably kind of real international student. I'm just pretty much, I'm not going to talk about research. I'm just talking about my experience as a fourth year PhD student and as an international student. But first, let me say that for my own feeling, try to get your first paper published as soon as possible. I published my first paper in the first summer, and it helps me relive my life much easier. Whether it's a crappy paper or not, it doesn't matter. Just make your first paper published. And you feel much better yourself, and your advisor are much happier with yourself. So in the second year, you can start to talk about your advisor, saying, "Hey, can I go to internship, and can I do something else?" Or rather than spending another summer here, if you don't really have a good idea, so like myself, I don't have a very good research topic of my second year summer, so I'd probably rather go to internship to see what's going on outside the campus, especially as an international student. So the other thing I want to say is that as compared to the domestic students, your language, especially as Asians, your language is definitely less good as other people. But you gotta be bold. Like me, just talking here. Everybody know I have some accent, but you gotta be bold and try to talk to everybody in your community, either whether it's a research community or also in the industry. Talk to them and introduce yourself and show your work. Put your resume, put your projects and your every piece of bits you write on the GitHub. Put that in your resume. That helps you to talk to lots of people much better. And once you get your first paper and then you get your first internship, you get much more confident. You know what people are looking, when they're talking to you, what they're looking for, and you know what kind of information other people are interested. So, and after you have your both first thing done, you pretty much kind of know what you're going to do next. Whether keep on doing research, you found there's really something really cool you can do, apply your knowledge, or you think, nah, research is not my type. I rather get out and make some money. You had done some internship, you know how to do that. So, and that's my feeling. And by the way, I don't know anybody else, but I have a family here. So any other questions related to family and family living here, I can ask me. But by the way, just like Moshe said, Irvine is a wonderful place for me, especially for international students. Here, there are 40-something Asians living here, so I promise the restaurant, the food here is really good.
Hi everyone, I'm Gülfem, and I'm a fifth-year PhD student in computer science. And I'm doing research in programming languages, virtual machines, and compilers. I work with Michael Franz, probably some of you already met with him. And, in your 5th year, you are supposed to wrap up your research, and you are supposed to finish all, publishing your papers and start writing your thesis. And writing your thesis is probably going to take around 3 months or something, because it's supposed to be, at least 100 pages, or it could be, 100 to 200. It's up to you, And you, of course, you are going to defend your thesis. So this is what you're supposed to do in your 5th year generally. And what else? And you'll also you'll also do some job hunting in your 5th year. You'll do your, you'll apply for jobs. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm doing I'm doing all these interviews with companies. Trying to get better offers and this. And I live in Verano housing. Maybe some of you already know. It's the Grad housing. There are 2 main Grad housing, I guess, as far as I know. One is PV, Palo Verde, and the other one is Verano housing. I used to live in Palo Verde, and now I moved to Verano. I really like Verano, actually. It's cool, and I as you said, I also have a family, and I'm married, and I'm expecting a baby. So, in case if you want to, start a family or something, Irvine is really a great place to start a family. And if you have any questions, if you have any family-related questions, just I'm open to answer your questions.
And one last speaker, a bonus speaker.
So I'm an undergrad here at UCI. I work in Pork's group on topic modeling. I don't live here. I live in 30 minutes away in San Juan. And I'm not actually a CS student. I'm in math and physics. But I do research in CS, so I don't really know how useful I'll be there.
So you're useful mostly because you're going to be a grad student and you got enough from UC Irvine. So convince these people to come here. Why are you going to stay?
Right. I'm primarily saying because I really like the group that I'm working in, and the advisor's open to me. That's kind of most of my exposure to the department, and I've been enjoyed it for the last almost year and a half, and kind of want to stay with it. And Irvine's a really cool place too. Yeah.
Now it's time for your questions. Hopefully people that don't already live here.
Sure.
If you have questions, please ask. And there's no professors. If you want to ask us about professors, we can answer.
They're watching.
Shall we close the door?
They're not watching. Questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
And then I'll start with a question to the other people here, mostly the first year and the second year. When you came here, what was your perception of the social life here? Are you enjoying living here in terms of, so we all talked about how it is to work here, but I was like partying here or going out here, how that works for the first and second year.
Yeah, about having fun. In case of me, all weekends I have fun. Yeah, kinda. Sometimes I said unfortunately because I need my time. There are lots of communities here, especially for Iranians and Asians. There are lots of Asians and Iranians here. So, for example, on weekends, I always go to hiking or kayaking. At night, there's always sometimes a party here or there. Sometimes it's birthday, it's work, it's a wedding. Every weekend there is something to party about, And there are lots of activities that you can actually do. So I think, for example, when you go outside of the campus, maybe after 9 o'clock, there are not that much there, it's not like LA or something, I was born and raised in a city that it was like LA, It was really big and people was out on the street up to 3 o'clock in the morning. So it was strange for me here too, When I came here, when I arrived from the airport, it was around 10 p.m. and I was really hungry. I wanted to go out for dinner and everything was closed. It was really strange. But when you will find some friends to join with, and after that, it doesn't matter that people are not on the street, because you have your own friends. You can party for yourself. You can go to, I don't know, dance, drink, or do exercising. Everything is good when you have lots of friends.
I also want to add to that, it's actually kind of advantage. So yes, Irvine as a city is like a one giant graveyard. So in one way, it's really good to raise a family here because it's the safest city, I think, in the world. There's zero crime rate. There's always a joke that, Will Ferrell, who grew up in Irvine, always joked that the cops were so bored, so they were going around ticketing people on bicycle.
Exactly.
But they have nothing to do. There's no crime, no nothing, very safe. But because of that, on campus we created a really rich social life. So we have groups on campus, the AGS, the Associate Graduate Students. We throw parties all the time. Not this year, but last year and the year before that, we used to throw almost every month a party here in this department that was sponsored by Google. They give us money to buy alcohol. That's pretty much what they do. They get to come and talk to us if they want to interview us, which is, it's a win-win for us. We get a job and the alcohol. So it's pretty cool. So because of that, we have this, so I always see it as an advantage, because when I moved here from Tel Aviv in Israel, giant city, there's nothing compared to it. There's parties all the time, middle of the week, 4 a.m., people are outside partying. And moving here was, what the hell is going on in here? But I found it to be an adventure because now I have this social life on campus, which I never had before. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I kind of came from the opposite perspective of these two, is that I live in kind of the woods of Pennsylvania, and this is the biggest kind of city I've ever lived in. The most happening city I've ever lived in. So, I don't see that as much. But, I mean, what really drew me here as opposed to other schools was that the on-campus graduate housing. Like the other schools I looked at, you would have had to kind of get your own apartments, not necessarily close to campus. But here, basically all the grad students, especially first and second years, kind of live together in Verano or Palo Verde, and you see, your people all the time, walking between campus and the communities, or just, in the laundromat or whatever. So it's spontaneous interactions is what can establish friendships. And you don't have to go out of your way as much to meet people. But also there's plenty of cool grad clubs. Like there's the outdoor club. And as Moshe said, they sponsor activities, hiking and going out nights. And the ARC is right by the graduate community too. So I go there, and they have a lot of free or classes that are pretty cheap. Like I took golf lessons, I took jiu-jitsu lessons, and so there's a lot. That's a good way to meet people too.
It's actually Irvine. I think OC Irvine is the best place for hiking. Because it's so much beautiful. It's really beautiful. I go to everywhere you think here to hiking in OC, and it's fantastic because it's like heaven. It's really beautiful for kayaking, for hiking, for going camping, anything. It's really good. So I don't use ARC because it's so beautiful. I use the natural.
I can add a little. Maybe I'm from Turkey and I came from Istanbul, and it's a big city. And then I lived in New York for 2 years. I did my master's in Manhattan. So it was also a big change for me. Irvine is a much smaller city, but it's much safer. It's much cleaner, and as Moshe said, it's one of the safest places that you can live in the U.S. I guess. But there is this thing that I love about Irvine. It's not like in the middle of nowhere. There are some campuses like in the middle part of the U.S. that's really in the middle of nowhere. You need to drive 4 hours or something, to go somewhere. But here, even if it's kind of quiet in the campus, you have your closer friends because you all live close to each other, right? Like we all live in Verano or PB or something. Like I remember when I was living in Manhattan, it was really difficult for us to get together. If we want to throw a party, okay, where are you? Do you want to do it here? It's all a mess, But here it's much easier, to celebrate birthdays or to celebrate anything you want. And I also love hiking. I cannot do much anymore, but we used to go lots of hiking with my husband. And one more thing, it's also important to have. If you can I strongly suggest to have a close relationship with your lab mates. It's really important, especially in my lab. People are very friendly, so we have a very close group. So we hang out most of the time, and our lab is kind of big, so we go out together, and We go to lunch, every day. So they are basically your colleagues, and they are also your friends. So it's really, really, creates a great environment to work. It's not just some guys. It's really your friends. So it's really important. If you can do it, I strongly, encourage you to do that.
Should I come to the?
You have something to say? You don't
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
say.
So I think here, in general, the Southern California, especially here, Orange County, is a fantastic place for road trips. I mean, people told me that the first year, there's American told me that for here, within 2 hours drive, you can be anywhere, like beach, desert, national forest, Universal Studios,
You can
Disney,
even go
what?
skiing, right?
Yeah, you can
That's
indoor
2.5
skiing. That's
Yeah.
you can use 2
Big
hours to
bear.
drive any place. All kinds of shapes, geographic differences there. And especially like me, I have a family. I can drive with my family. It's lots of fun. Yeah, and with another 2 hours, you can go to Las Vegas, Death Valley, and in the middle of California, like there's a Sequoia National Park. I would say that besides the Death Valley, I've been to all of the national forests here in the Southern California. It's a lot. You take a look at my refrigerator. There's a lot of magnets there. It's very wonderful. I grab every piece of the small vacations, like 3 days vacation. I will just do the road trip. Sometimes even with just myself, if my family is not here.
Mhm.
It is very good. So. And especially you're coming from other places, don't work. I promise you will see something you have never seen before, like the biggest tree in the Sequoia National Park. Good.
Now that we asked a question, do you have a question? We hope that it will start.
Do you know anyone who lives off campus?
Yes, I know. I know a lot of people live on campus. So there's advantage and disadvantage of off campus. The big advantage is that you get to live in a place that might be more fun than on campus. Like I have friends who live on the beach in Newport Beach. They have like a beachfront house. Friends who live up in LA, and also some people who live with their parents because they want to save money, which is also cool. So that's the advantage. The disadvantage is you have to drive every day. I would say as a recommendation, if you do it just for fun because you want to, then the first 2 years, try to live on campus, because you'll have to attend a lot of classes. So you have to do a lot of the driving. But after that, feel free to get out. It's also a lot cheaper to live on campus. I pay like $600 a month, and off campus, it'll be 3 times that much.
How far do you plan to live? What is the commute time, and it's
Well, I don't have a specific plan yet.
Okay.
But I was considering living in LA, but I don't know if that would be too far away.
That's a lot of
traffic,
things.
traffic might be
It's terrible.
We were thinking the same thing, when we first moved here, we thought, okay, my husband is a computer engineer, so he also works. We said, okay, he might find a job in LA, and we might leave LA, and then I can commute. No, it's not gonna work. So, it might, but maybe you can come to campus 3 times a day or something. You don't 3 times a week, so you don't need to come every day. But if you need to come every day, then it's gonna be,
Yeah, we had a group member who used to live in the valley, so that's North LA. That's hour and 40-minute drive, and when there's no traffic. But she came once a week, so it was okay. She lived there with her husband, with her family. It was like,
And if you don't need to come at
Yeah.
rush hour, that's okay, right?
Yeah,
It's
so
not
that's
that bad.
but it's also a good question to ask yourself, why do you want to live in LA?
Because my partner might go to UCLA.
That's
Okay,
the-
yeah,
because
this is
a good answer. Because if you're like, because LA is fun, my answer would be, no, it's not. LA sucks.
Or you can do the other way around. Because seriously, UCLA does not have university housing. I mean, of course they do have, but it's not guaranteed housing to all the grad students. So it might be harder to find housing in there instead of here. And I think housing is cheaper as far as I know.
Oh, UCLA, they have housing, but they don't
But-
live there because it's more expensive to live off campus. So they usually try to, if you're a first year international students, you go to the campus housing because it's hard for you to find a place, you just move there. But once you realize how much more expensive it is, they get away from the campus housing in UCLA.
I think it's the other way around here, right? On-campus housing
It's
is much,
so much
cheaper than living in other parts of Irvine, for example.
Yeah, but I will say it's a long commute from Westwood. More questions? Okay, then I'll take 5 more minutes to ask one more question to the people that, this is a question that you should all ask, so pay attention to this one. Why did we choose to come to UC Irvine? What was the deciding factor for us? Because I'm sure all of you have, I mean, not, some of you have offers from other places as well. I had offers from UCLA as well. No, UCLA I missed. I had an offer from Caltech and UCI. Why did I choose to come to UCI? So that's, I'm going to start with you because you're on my left. Why did you?
Sure. I think I like the group. You know, like I had an interview with my advisor and with my lab, and as I said, I had a master's, and in my master's I started to work in programming languages and compilers, and I really enjoyed it. And you know, since my current advisor, he's also doing research in programming languages and compilers, you know, I think it was the motivation for me to come to UC Irvine. And of course, you know, it should be the first one, right? You know, because you are going to do your PhD for the next 5 years, and if you don't like the lab or if you don't like the thing that you are researching, you are not going to make it. Because 5 years, I mean, you can work for 2 years or something, but I mean, you have to stop at some point. But it's the second motivation was there is no, the crime rate is very low, I guess, in Irvine. I also enjoyed that one. And you know, guaranteed housing was also the other motivation that I moved to UC Irvine.
And the weather.
And of course, yeah. I mean, I really lived living in New York. It was really fun. It was a 24-hour city. But oh my God, the snow and blizzards, it was horrible. You know? I really want to see sun at some point.
So for me, I had two. I'll continue, then we'll go in this order. There was two deciding factors. First of all, I only applied to universities in California. I didn't want to live anywhere else because I can't do cold. If you know anything about the weather in Israel, it's nice all the time.
It's very warm, right?
Yeah. So I only wanted to apply to the University in California, and then I chose specific advisors that I wanted to work with. And in my mind, that's the most important thing. You have to, as Calvin says, we're going to work with that advisor for 5 to 6 years. And I mean, you can switch, but the idea that the person you come into is usually the one that you're going to end up with. So that's, I think, the thing you should be taking, look the most at. Like, are you going to enjoy working with your advisor? Look at what work he or she are doing right now, and do you find yourself, helping in that kind of work? And that's it. That's I want to tell you.
Well, so I haven't made my final decision yet. I'm very much leaning on UCI, though, primarily because of, like Moshe said, the advisor and working in the group. I also like the area, and yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that when I got my acceptances back, probably UCI was, the 3 schools I was considering was 3rd on the list. And then I did the visits, and then it was 1st, and I'm here. So I guess to echo what everyone else said is that, advisor relationship, when I came here, I actually thought like the advisor and the other lab mates were people that I could see myself working really well with. I could, almost be friends. Almost. Be friends with. And I think that's, that's kind of an intangible thing that, you may have other opportunities to work with, higher esteem advisors or something, but, it's a matter of the working relationship, and maybe, even though they are, this famous person, if you don't gel with them, you won't, success just doesn't come through osmosis, you have to put your end to it, and it has to be the working relationship. So I feel like above all, value that.
Okay, last year I applied to some 11 universities.
Wow.
And I got 9 admissions, and it was really difficult choosing between them. But actually, I haven't been here, so I was just visualizing things here. So yeah, and the last time I was between Duke University and here to choose between them. But as he mentioned, the weather, I cannot tolerate cold weather at all. Because white skins, they cannot tolerate cold weather. So that was a problem I had with Duke, North Carolina. And another thing was that there are lots of computer science company here in California. That's a really good positive thing about UCI or any other universities in California. And also about the professor, I have been contacted with professors that I haven't applied for them. I don't know why, but most of the universities, actually, the professors contacted me. They haven't been the professors I chose. I don't know how they actually knew me. Including here, I applied for another professor, but another professor actually contacted me. Yeah, congratulations, you're gonna work with me. So sometimes it happens, but now I'm satisfied. I'm in parallel system group, and I like it. Actually, the other professor was in this group too. The research area is really important. For example, the professor in Duke University, he was awesome, but I didn't like his research area. So it's really important. Consider this, because the project you're gonna work on in PhD thing is this kind of the same thing you're gonna work for the rest of your life. Not exactly, but you will be in that area kind of. You cannot actually work on parallel language, parallel programming, and then go to work on circuit design. Kind of the same. So it's really important to choose it correctly. And also go for professors that are active. Go for professors that they have great group, because you can have first author papers just by yourself, but if you want to have the papers that you're a second author in them, if you want to cooperate with other people, you should be in a group that there are lots of active people, or at least be connected to groups that they're active. So consider all of them. And the UCI groups actually really cooperating with each other in a great way. For example, now I'm in parallel system group, but I'm gonna work with algorithm groups too, because of the graph algorithm thing. So you can actually link to other groups in a really great way, work together, all people. And I think there is a really friendly atmosphere here, and I felt when I was in Iran. At that time, just by seeing the websites, just by seeing the groups, I knew that it's gonna be really a friendly atmosphere here, which was not in Duke, really.
It's cold, too cold
so
for friendly.
Really? So I'm really happy with my choice, really.
For me, I really don't have too much to say, because I only have two options. One is Ohio State, the other is UCI. Of course, I choose UCI. And the other thing is that I'm interested in the machine learning research, and the machine learning research community here is really good. And if you're doing machine learning, you probably heard of the UCI machine learning repository. Although people, I'm not sure anyway. So, but that's the primary reason. For me, another reason is that Irvine is really a good place compared to most of the other places in the United States. The weather and the fun things you can do, like I mentioned before. And one specific thing, just to my very own personal interest, is that the New York have their Blizzard. We also have our Blizzard. It's a company here. I played Blizzard game all my life since I'm very young. I just really dream I can get a chance to visit the company, and I did an internship there. I did it. I got an internship there. It's really one of the most exciting thing I've done here. So it's a lot of fun. And I totally agree with her that the atmosphere of the computer science, in general, the IT industry here is very good. So you get a lot of chance, really a lot of chance. And either you go north or go south. South there, the San Diego has Qualcomm and those very famous ones. And the north, needless to say, LA, you have lots of other very good stuff.
Well, also up here, we have Google down the street,
Yeah,
Blizzard down the
yeah.
street, Amazon everyone's down the street.
Yeah. So
I just want to add one thing. We all, some of us all mentioned that, we picked an advisor or we picked a research lab. But if you haven't decided yet, that's also perfectly normal. If you don't really have a clear idea what you are going to work on or which advisor you are going to work on, that's normal. I think at the beginning you are assigned to one advisor, but you can certainly switch to another advisor. This happened to my lab a lot. Like we had students that were working in other groups, and he was interested in our group, and after the first 2 years he came to our lab. And same for another student. He was into machine learning, so he wasn't into programming languages, I guess. So he stayed for 1 year, I guess, in our lab, and then he switched to the machine learning group. So it's perfectly normal. You don't need to make up your mind from the very beginning. So you still have time to figure out the things.
They actually give you an initial faculty,
Yeah.
as they did for me. The faculty contacted me, was my initial faculty, but after that I chose to work with him because I'm really happy with him. You know, I'm really satisfied with my advisor. I think he's great. And maybe at first I didn't go for a specific faculty when I was in year one, but after he was my initial faculty, after 2 or 3 months, I got that he's really, really intelligent, and I really want to work with him because he's great, you know. So sometimes the initial faculty is gonna be changed by you, but I think at most of the time you're gonna find out that he's gonna be a great advisor for you. So you can evaluate him or her. In my case, he's great. So
It's a mutual thing, you know.
Yeah.
They will evaluate you and you will also evaluate them. So
yeah,
it's-
exactly.
it has to work both of you, you know.
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna wrap it up, and you all guys will go upstairs for lunch. You're gonna see other students from other departments, because you're kind of a small group this year. Thank you all, and thank everyone who came. We don't do